Good morning, everyone. Could we all stand for the national anthem, which will be done for us by Miss Vinell Powell.
Oh, land of beauty, our country, where peace abounds, thy children stand free on the strength of will and love, with God in all our struggles, saints, kids, and NEVIS be a nation bound together with a common destiny. As stalwarts we stand for justice and liberty, with wisdom and truth. We will serve and honor thee. No sword nor spear can conquer, for God will sure defend. His blessing shall forever to posterity extend.
Thank you very kindly, Vinell, for so wonderfully rendering the national anthem of St. Kitts and Nevis. I will ask you to remain standing as we ask Pastor Jerry Lando to bring us the invocation. Pastor Lando.
So bow our heads. Our Father and our God, we thank you so very much for life today and for the creation story. We thank you for the ability you have given us to plant. We ask now that your Spirit will rest upon this program, that you'll anoint every speaker. We give you thanks, O God, that you're still the God of creation, that on the first day, O God, you allow the herbs and the plants to grow. And today, God, we can reap the benefits of your creative power. So we ask now that you'll bless this program, and we thank you in advance for what you'll do for us. We give you praise and thanks for your goodness towards us. We ask in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, according to your will. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Lando, and you may be seated. Your Honor, Mr. Eustace John, the Honorable Vance Amory, Premier of NEVIS, the Honorable Mark Brantley, Deputy Premier and Minister of Tourism, Health, Gender, Social Affairs, Social Development, Youth, Sports and Culture, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, Minister of Agriculture, Lands, Housing, Cooperatives and Fisheries, Communications, Works, Public Utilities, Posts, Physical Planning, Natural Resources and the Environment, the Honorable Hazel Brandy Williams, Junior Minister in the Ministry of Social Development, the Honorable Troy Liburd, Junior Minister in the Ministry of Communications, other members of the NEVIS Island Administration, Pastor Jerry Lando and other ministers of religion, Mrs. Sandra David, patron, Ambassador of the Republic of China on Taiwan, Your Excellency Miguel Sao, the delegation from the University of the West Indies, Head Mr. Terry Sampson, and also including the UWI Open Campus site in the Federation Head, Mrs. Sandra Owen, Permanent Secretaries, Mr. Keithley Amory, Director of Agriculture, and other directors, Mr. Augustine Merchant, AICA representative of St. Kitts and Nevis, Mr. Mario Chen, leader of the Taiwanese Technical Mission, and other members of your delegation, Mr. Tawfiq Ali, President, SME Packaging based in Trinidad, representatives of other regional and international agencies, heads of departments and other senior government officials, invited guests, members of staff of the Departments of Agriculture, Fisheries and Cooperatives, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I am humbled once again to perform the task to officially welcome you to this, the 19th edition of the premier agriculture event on NEVIS, the Open Day. Today, we are gathered here at the Villa not just to witness another Open Day. We are here to show our solidarity with the Ministry of Agriculture and the agriculture industry on NEVIS, and to witness an event that brings out the very best in the Departments of Agriculture, Fisheries and Cooperatives, the farmers, agro-processors, allied agencies, food providers, ornamental growers, and all stakeholders in the agriculture industry. We are here to witness the culmination of months of intense planning and preparation, weeks of agreeing to disagree, disagreeing to agree, and a few days of tempers flaring. The fact is that we are all here. And why are we here? The common denominator is that we're here because we all have confidence that Agriculture Open Day 2013 will be another success story, one that will be talked about for months and years to come. The concern has been raised in recent days as to whether the quality of the Open Day will be affected by the current dry spell that we're experiencing. I could say emphatically that no, the quality will not be affected. Technology is the order of the day with the farmers and the Department of Agriculture, and through the use of drip irrigation, we can boast of excellent quality produce here on display today. Open Day 2013 is being celebrated under the theme, Intensify Local Production for a Healthier Nation. We are all interested in living healthier and longer lives, and we believe that growing and eating more local produce present a better option to achieve that goal. I know that our patron, Mrs. Sandra David, will be lauded by the other speakers as well as in the profile, but I must at the onset indicate that I don't think that there is anyone more deserving of such an honor. Please permit me, as I do every year, to give the highest commendation to the staff at the Departments of Agriculture, Fisheries and Cooperatives for once again delivering. I don't think that you, the members of the general public, are aware of the extent of the work that is involved in planning and executing an activity of this magnitude. In hosting this event, we aim to satisfy everyone's taste, and thankfully, we have been successful over the years. I think that the organizers of this event, what they do amounts to national service, and what we do should not be taken lightly. Mounting this exhibition year after year brings with it its many challenges, but the teamwork that has been portrayed among the staff has always enabled us to prevail. Let me at this time express how proud and pleased I am to have been associated with this auspicious occasion for all 19 years of its existence. Today's opening ceremony will set the tone for what promises to be 2 days of excitement, 2 days of education, entertainment, fellowship, and fun. We implore you to enjoy every moment that you spend here and encourage others to come. As the chairperson of today's official opening ceremony, let me give you the assurance that the Open Day will live up to its expectations. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I take this opportunity to encourage all of you to visit all of the booths, learn as much as you possibly can, ask questions, have fun, and patronize the local production. Please be here for both days. We assure you that your 2 days here will be well spent. We will now bring Mr. Dejano Liebert with a poem. Please welcome Mr. Dejano Liebert.
Agriculture. Agriculture is important for our country's prosperity. Livestock and crops will provide us food abundantly. It is the best way to ensure a future generation, a sure way to eliminate hunger and starvation. We have to plant more yams, carrots, peas, and tomatoes. Let us plant bananas, cabbage, broccoli, and potatoes. It is a joy when we can put something from the garden into the pot. What a pleasure when we can pick and eat fruits on the spot. So let us plant, nurture, pick, and cook every fruit and vegetable that's in the book. Make some preserves, drinks, and jams. Make sausages, nuggets, and ham. Let us plant more cotton to be shipped to Japan. Keep the bees for honey like the bee man. We need more people to go and catch fish, which will make a very nutritious dish. Agriculture is the best way forward for our country. Planting and eating fruits and vegetables will help us to be healthy. So let us promote, produce, and preserve agriculture to ensure that we have a bright and healthy future. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Liebert, and I think that poem was composed by Mr. Liebert himself as we try to promote agriculture here in NEVIS. We do have a delegation here from Statia. They would have traveled all the way from Statia. Give us a wave and give them a hand, please, to be with us for the open day. Thank you very much for braving the waters to come to be with us for Open Day 2013. We welcome you wholeheartedly. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to call to the podium to bring some remarks and a report the Director of Agriculture, Mr. Keithley Emery.
Okay, good morning, and thank you, Mr. Evelyn. Please permit me to adopt the protocol that was so ably established by my peers and the chairperson for today. Good morning once again. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to our 19th annual Agricultural Open Day activities, being held under the distinguished patronage of Mrs. Sandra David, a livestock farmer for many years. This year our theme is Intensify Local Food Production for a Healthier Nation, and focus attention on the need for Nevisians to eat and produce more local food such that there can be a reduction in non-communicable diseases. It also focuses attention on the need to maximize use of the limited space available to you to achieve higher yields, be it crops or livestock. It's our hope that by maximizing this limited space, that more healthier food can be produced, resulting in a healthier nation, and at the same time attaining food self-sufficiency for 2013 and beyond. The department was able to fulfill most of its obligation in 2012, based on the mission statement, which reads, to establish a professional business climate for the high-quality provision of services to farmers and the general public towards sustainable agricultural development. During 2012, we focused our activities on 4 major thematic areas: agro-processing, irrigation, protected agricultural system, and aquaculture development. I will take this opportunity to report briefly on the achievements for 2012 within the thematic areas and the agricultural divisions. Within the thematic areas, agro-processing. The agro-processing center is steadily infiltrating the marketplace with local value-added products. Due to the unavailability of local chicken and pigs, smoked chicken and ham production declined by 64% and 19% respectively last year over 2011. Pork sausages, beef sausages decreased by 20% and 66% respectively. However, the abattoir has increased its production of smoked beef by 4.7%, ground beef by 20%, beef burgers by 99%, chicken burgers by 117%. Most of the chicken burgers around here coming from the abattoir. Two new products were added last year, were chicken sausage and ground pork. As you heard the young man say, we need to get more into agro processing. Within the thematic area of irrigation, 17 acres of lands were brought back into cultivation last year, necessitating the use of 153 rolls of drip line. I'm also pleased to report that 18 rolls of drip lines were installed by backyard farmers. I would like to add here that I was just asked about the drip irrigation project that we have here by two persons already, and it shows that there's a major interest in getting involved in drip irrigation. Last year, in 2011, I reported that the Department of Agriculture Ministry was actively seeking funds for the development of deep wells at New River, Indian Castle and Cades Bay, which would greatly relieve the strain on our potable water system. I'm pleased to report that this year we were able to source funding from the Caribbean Development Fund. So we'll be now putting down a deep well at Indian Castle in the first phase. Within the protected agriculture system, in 2012, due to our program on radio on protected agriculture system, there was a renewed interest in its use. 3 dormant systems were revived, leading to an increase in productivity last year. At the agricultural department, that 4,200 square foot greenhouse, 6 air vents were installed on the greenhouse to reduce the internal temperature which was affecting plant growth. At this area, trials are still ongoing so that we will be able to better inform the public about the use of the protected agricultural systems and the varieties that can be planted safely within them. In aquaculture development, a 15,000 cubic feet pond was constructed and stocked with tilapia with the aim of increasing the availability of cheap fish protein, reduce the pressure on inshore fisheries, and decrease importation. I'm pleased to report that some of this fish will be available today, cheaply, so make sure that you go and get yours today. Additionally, a number of persons have shown an interest in developing small backyard fish farms. Within the agricultural divisions, we start with the extension activities. The department has targeted 10 major crops for import substitution, namely cabbage, carrot, corn, cantaloupe, honeydew, onions, sweet pepper, pumpkin, sweet potato, tomato, and watermelon. During 2012, we were able to meet the local demand by 9% for cabbage, 5% for carrots, 66% for corn, 25% for cantaloupe and honeydew, 18% for onion, 53% for sweet pepper, 75% for pumpkin, 5% for sweet potato, 84% for tomato, and 65% for watermelon. So we have been doing very well, and all of this is attributed to our drip irrigation program. These figures represent 33% of the targeted total. However, we are still down 5% from what was achieved in 2011. Although we were able to surpass 50% of the targeted totals in some crop, work still needs to be done on the consistency of production. And I'm also pleased to report that pumpkin imports were reduced by 26%. The department is still working diligently to establish school gardens in all of the primary and secondary schools. with the goal of encouraging students in the field of agriculture and to provide fresh vegetables for their school feeding program. The Special Education Unit once again deserve special mention here for their achievement in winning the Take 5 project from a field of 13 schools within the Federation. A big round of applause should go to those special education persons. This project was sponsored by the Clarence Fitzroy Bryan College. The Department of Agriculture is also working closely with our ally agencies, IECA, CARI, and the Taiwanese Technical Mission. These agencies, at our request, focus was placed on protected agricultural system, the sweet potato weevil control, and cassava development. I will also like to thank the Taiwanese Technical Mission for the donation, timely donation, I will repeat, of a 4-wheel drive tractor. Thanks to the Taiwanese Technical Mission. In abattoir activities, there was a 7.3% decrease in the amount of meat produced at the abattoir, which can be attributed to the 11.8% decrease in the amount of livestock slaughtered in 2012 as compared to 2011. However, the abattoir was able to produce 67% beef, 26% mutton, 20% pork, respectively, of their targeted production. The output in value-added products increased by 21% over 2011 as the 2 products that I named before was added to the list of products being produced. Therefore, the Department of Agriculture is once again requesting of livestock farmers to kindly, please, I beg you, harvest your animals and make use of the abattoir. Under the vet and livestock activities, the veterinary division responded to 697 cases in 2012. Castration accounted for 52.5% of these cases, while wounds accounted for 16.6% and dermatophilosis 8.8%. There was 61 dermatophilosis cases, which represents a 16% decrease over 2011. However, the incidence of dermatophilosis is still high in St. John's and St. Thomas's Parish. And for those who don't know, dermatophilosis is what people will call the lumpy skin disease. Okay? That is the lumpy skin disease that we are talking about. It is on the increase in St. George's Parish, and we are once again asking farmers to be very proactive, monitor their animals, and report any tick, those pretty ticks as people will call them, to the Agriculture Department or to the Vet Division to help us reduce the spread of this disease. There were 116 dog attacks reported to the division, of which 109 were on small ruminants, that's sheep and goat, and 7 on pigs. This figure is much higher because many farmers are not reporting these type of attacks to the vet. They are now taking their own action, and that is something that we do not want happening, because innocent persons, their dogs, are being poisoned. Please report these to the vet such that we can have the proper policies put into place. This situation is further compounded with the extremely high incidence of predial larceny. We are once again urging all farmers to report loss of animals through these avenues to the Department of Agriculture. Of concern, quite lately, is the very high incidence of internal parasitism, which has increased by a whopping 93.5%. Untreated internal parasitism leads to liver damage, which results in the liver being discarded by the environmental health official during their post-mortem inspections at the abattoir. This I've included here because many persons have been accusing the Department of Agriculture of actually stealing the liver, not realizing that because of the internal parasitism, nobody wants to deworm their animals, and therefore because the animals are not dewormed, they have internal parasitism, internal parasites, and those liver have to be destroyed. Within the small farm equipment pool, the small farm equipment pool got a much needed boost with the acquisition of 3 4-wheel tractors. One was purchased by the NEVIS Island Administration. One, as I mentioned, was donated by ROC, the Taiwanese Technical Mission, and one we finally got from the Alba Alimentos funds in St. Kitts. So I'm quite pleased that we got something out of that. Due to the acquisition of these tractors, 345 acres of land was prepared, a very great increase of 82% over 2011. So I'm quite happy and pleased to all those persons, the NIA, Taiwanese Technical Mission, and the Alba Funds for donating those tractors to us. Within the Quarantine and Communications Unit, our Quarantine and Communication Division continues to protect our shores from foreign invasive species. As such, 208 containers were examined, an increase of 18.2% over 2011. Additionally, the unit issued 874 phytosanitary certificates and 234 import permits, 15.8 and 18.2% increase respectively over 2011. Our on-the-farm and eye-on agriculture programs and those aired on NEVIS newscasts continue to attract great reviews. So we are quite pleased to see that persons are adhering to our call to respect the rules and regulations of the department. Within the marketing unit, the marketing unit continued to function as a major clearinghouse for local fruits and vegetables to many of our major outlets on NEVIS. A total throughput of 69,974 kilograms of vegetables and fruits were channeled to the unit for 2012, a 14.3% increase over 2011. As you heard Mr. Evelyn point out, that last year, because of our irrigation system, we are still able to produce quite a bit of food. The Clerical Division. This unit is responsible for record keeping and making sure that we have collection of monies. However, only 59.3% of the expected revenue was collected last year. In addition, large quantities of produce, both crops and livestock, were donated to various governmental and non-governmental organizations that may have contributed to the shortfall in expected revenue. The 2013 projection. This year, we are hoping to refocus our attention on livestock development, along with the other thematic areas. And the reason for refocus our attention on livestock production, as you have heard through this report, our livestock farmers are actually getting quite fed up of the dog attacks. So we do need to get them back on track. And that is one of the reasons why we'll be refocusing our attention on this. As you participate in our celebration, Please note and adopt the various techniques and methodologies shown that will allow you to improve your agricultural pursuits. Please visit all the booths represented here today. Ask questions such that you may be better informed. We also want you to enjoy the good food from the food court. Observe the food demonstration to learn how to prepare savory dishes from our local produce, and then go and buy local. Purchase our homegrown tilapia and ask how you can get some of your own. Please purchase raffle tickets so that you can win a young bull, heifer or piglet. Also enjoy the cultural presentation and return tomorrow to enjoy more of the same, as well as our domino competition. I would like to close by saying thanks to the staff at the Department of Agriculture, Fisheries Cooperative for their support, and also to our sponsors whose name you will hear in the vote of thanks for their continued support in these harsh economic times. Many thanks once again to you, your sponsors, for digging deep into your pockets to make our 19th annual Open Day a reality. Welcome once again to each and every one. I would also like to take, just before I close, to welcome especially to the station group. They were quite interested when they came here to come back, and so I'm quite pleased to see that they made it. Welcome to each and every one, and to thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Mr. Amory, Director of Agriculture, for that very comprehensive report. Ladies and gentlemen, I will now like to call to the podium, and it gives me great pleasure to speak to us the Honorable Alexis Jeffers. This is his first event, the first Open Day in his capacity as Minister of Agriculture, and I think it is his first big event on NEVIS as well. So let's specially welcome the Honorable Alexis Jeffers.
A pleasant good morning to one and all. And I would like to adopt the protocol that has been ably established by the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Eric Evelyn. And it's good to address you this morning. And as you just heard, the first official remarks I'll make as the Minister of Agriculture. But it is indeed with deep pride and a sense that I address you today at this prestigious event, which is the 2013 Open Day in my capacity as the Minister responsible for Agriculture. It is an activity that has established itself as one of the leading national events on our calendar, and one with which I feel justly proud to be associated with. The Open Day seeks to bring into sharp focus the strides that have been made in agricultural technology, and to demonstrate the use of that technology in a very practical way. Additionally, the Open Day attempts to bring to the villa the best in local agricultural produce within a 2-day period. Our theme this year, I think, is very timely. We have all heard the saying, the wealth of a nation depends on the health of a nation. And by the same token, we can say the health of a nation depends on the wealth of that nation. And therefore, the organizers of this event must be given high marks for drawing attention to the nation's health. The theme, Intensify Local Production for a Healthier Nation, speaks to the importance of both increasing local production and eating healthy foods. The staff at the Department of Agriculture has convinced me that products that are locally produced have far less harmful residues that may be left behind from the use of chemicals and other products. And therefore, the foods that you'll eat today should be much healthier than those you would have imported in the past. Let me then join with my staff in encouraging all to eat more local products. They are healthier and would make you live longer. I don't think you'd want to debate with me on that. I'd want at this time to extend heartiest congratulations to the patron for this year, Mrs. Sandra David. Let us give her a round of applause, please. I do not know Mrs. David personally, but it is my understanding that she is one of the most committed and hard-working livestock farmer here on the island of Nevis. It is someone like Mrs. David who we would like the other livestock farmers and farmers in general to emulate. It is someone like Mrs. David who we would like young, enterprising, and even prospective farmers to look up to. Mrs. David, once again, I congratulate you, and may you continue to prosper in your farming business. It would be remiss of me if I didn't use this platform to commend highly the hard-working officers of the Department of Agriculture, Cooperatives and Fisheries for executing the open day with such professionalism over the past 19 years. I am sure that Nevisians, residents and visitors who have attended this function would all agree with me that it is an activity that is second to none. To plan and execute an activity of this magnitude for 19 years is no easy feat. Whether you have been involved in the open day for 19 years, 9 years or 2 years, you should feel justly proud of your accomplishment. My hope is that you will continue to give of your best as we recommit our efforts to take agriculture, fisheries and cooperatives on Nevis to another level. A level that will make the agricultural industry here on Nevis the envy of other islands in the region. The open day turns 20 next year, and my challenge to you as a department and to all involved is that you commence your planning in earnest as soon as this event comes to an end tomorrow, so that we can have the biggest and best show ever in 2014. The open day, and by extension the work we are involved with here on Nevis, would be incomplete without the collaborative efforts of our allied agencies. I speak first of all of Mission Taiwan, which continues year after year to bring to the open day fruits and vegetables of unparalleled quality, which always serve to draw patrons of the activity to their booth, often with expression of awe. I speak of CADI, the Agricultural Research and Development Institute, that continues to work very closely with the Department of Agriculture to conduct research for various crops. I must also recognize the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, AICA, an organization that has provided substantial assistance in capacity building. The University of the West Indies, through its St. Augustine campus in Trinidad and Tobago, continues to support us by sending representatives almost every year to participate and to bring the institution's perspective to this event. 2 representatives normally journey here to participate in the event, and for the first time in the history of the open day, we have 4 representatives present here this year. Give them a round of applause, please. I take this opportunity to thank all of our allied agencies and to encourage them to continue to strengthen that bond of cooperation that exists among us. As I commend our allied agencies, I must at the same time pay tribute to the participants who have assisted in making the open day what it is today. No praise is too high for our farmers, our fishermen, cooperatives, agro-processors, food providers, ornamental producers and other individuals institutions and stakeholders in general who religiously make themselves available to be part of the Open Day each year. Thank you for your genuine interest, and we assure you that this fantastic show at the Villa would continue year after year with your participation. I pause at this time to congratulate all who will be receiving awards today. Members and staff at the department, as well as farmers and fishermen and other stakeholders. May your hard work serve as an inspiration for your colleagues, your friends, your neighbors, and other members of our community to emulate. As the new Minister of Agriculture, I bring a message of hope. There is hope in agriculture here on the island of Nevis. And my ministry will do all in its power to ensure that hope is transformed to reality. Within the new administration, my colleagues and I are committed to providing whatever support is necessary to move the industry forward. Agriculture over the years have made a significant contribution to the development of our country, and we believe that this industry has potential yet to be tapped. I, as the new minister, will endeavor to do whatever is possible to ensure that the industry moves in the right direction. I therefore enlist the support of the Department of Agriculture, Fisheries and Cooperatives, as together we will get the job done. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I can assure you that the Open Day this year will live up to and surpass all expectations. I encourage you to take advantage of the opportunities that will be provided here over the next 2 days to learn as much as you possibly can about agriculture, fisheries and cooperatives. I implore you to take it a step further and become involved in whatever small way you can to bolster the agricultural industry. I take this opportunity to thank you for your presence here today. I trust that you will enjoy the next 2 days with us. May God continue to bless you and all the people of Nevis. May God continue to bless the Open Day and the agricultural industry, and most of all, may God continue to bless this beautiful and prosperous island of ours. With those few words, I thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Jeffers, for that inspiring address and for committing the support of the Ministry of Agriculture to the development of this industry. At this point, I would like to acknowledge the presence of the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture from St. Kitts, Mr. Ashton Stanley, and the Director of Agriculture from St. Kitts, Mr. Thomas Jackson. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue, it gives me pleasure to call to the podium the Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Vance Amory, to address us.
Good morning, everybody. Deputy Governor General, Mr. Eustace John, Ministers of Government, members of the Diplomatic Corps, especially His Excellency Mr. Miguel Sao, representatives of international organizations and universities, IECA, UWI, etc., farmers, fishers, food producers, ladies and gentlemen, and I want to pay special attention to the seniors group which is here. I think I want you all to give them a round of applause. It's very good to see them, especially as they are back in Nevis, most of them, to enjoy their retirement years, and we really are happy to have you. And also to our children. Although they are around, looking around, I think they are an important part of the future of the agricultural industry here in Nevis. And then to Mrs. David, the patron for today's and tomorrow's activity. I met Mrs. David some 30 years ago when she had just come to Nevis with her children and her husband. And I never knew she had any agricultural ambition. But one of the beauties about women is that they're adaptable, and I think she has adapted herself well to Nevis, and today she's being honored by us as an outstanding farmer of livestock. And also to welcome the members from Statia. I know Mr. Clyde Van Putten and Ms. Marsden and the other persons who've come. They brought a big team because they are interested in establishing with us a link, an agricultural link, a trading link, but I think more than that, a friendship between Statia and NEVIS. We are on opposite sides of St. Kitts, so we'll join our hands over St. Kitts and become friends. But ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure for me to be here to participate in this 19th annual agricultural exhibition. And this must tell you that this event was introduced under the former CCM administration, because we felt then that agriculture has and must continue to play an important role in the development of NEVIS. Let me also congratulate all the persons who have made this event possible. The Minister of Agriculture himself, who just spoke to you, Permanent Secretary and staff, and all the farmers and exhibitors who have come to showcase their produce here for us today. I think it is, as one person said, it's a labor of love, but I want to see it become more than a labor of love. I would like to see agriculture and the results it produces as something which can be calculated, something which can be planned, and something to which our children and other able-bodied persons can aspire to make it a lifelong employment opportunity, because there is money in the ground. It is also necessary to say at the outset that our administration wants to see agriculture as a meaningful economic activity, and to use this avenue, the agricultural industry, to contribute significant benefits to the overall well-being of all the people of NEVIS. We've talked and heard from the director and the minister about the benefits of consuming locally produced foods and vegetables and meats. And this is something which we must not just hear with our ears, but we must actually inculcate in ourselves and engage in the consumption of locally produced foods. It is better for you, and therefore you should consume more of it so that we can reduce our dependence on outside importation of food. The government commits itself to making the agricultural sector a productive and viable part of the economic development in NEVIS. Our focus will be to empower and encourage and support our farmers and fishers and all persons who are engaged in, whether it is agro-processing, whether it is in the growing of plants and shrubs for beautification of our country. We want to let you know that our support will be with you, and you just have to call on us, and whatever we're able to assist you with, I'm sure the minister and his team will do so. We intend to identify also as a future long-term proposal all fallow lands which can be cultivated. We intend, as far as we can, to lease those lands and bring them into the productive cycle, and to give the support of infrastructure and technical and marketing resources to ensure that we get the maximum from our agricultural sector. We, by this process, intend to diversify the economy through diversification of the agricultural industry. Already, we have begun to discuss urgently with Mr. Merchant, and I apologize to him for using his name, but I think it's important because Mr. Merchant was the man in charge of the initial agricultural fair here at this ground. But he is now with AICA. He is a representative, and he is willing, he has told me, to provide all of the assistance that he could through his office to make sure that agriculture becomes viable in NEVIS. I also want to mention His Excellency the Ambassador for the Republic of China on Taiwan and other agencies, because they too are pledging to assist us in this very important sector, and we have assurances, and I'm certain that they will deliver. In respect of Mr. Merchant, I had a meeting with him earlier in this week, and he pledged to assist us with shade houses and equipment where possible. And next week, ladies and gentlemen, one shade house will be commissioned here at the Charleston Secondary School, and we are keen to have our children, our young people, see agriculture not as a chore, but as an opportunity which they can utilize to make a living for themselves, but also to help the country and the economy to grow and to develop. We intend also to have a greater involvement in all of the schools. And this I have discussed with a number of the teachers who are involved in agricultural science. And they have shown an extraordinary willingness to work along with the children so that the children can have a love for the soil. And I was told that they don't have to get their hands dirty, because the technology is such that they have now introduced what is known as above the ground technology for production of fruits and vegetables. And I want to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, that this administration will ensure that we give that impetus to our schools so that they can become, our children can become, an integral part of the development of agriculture in our country. Of critical importance as well is the development of agro-processing. And this sector will call upon not just the ministry and the Department of Agriculture, but will call upon persons in their own homes to use their own little kitchens to produce jams and jellies, to produce other items which is for commercial sale and for local consumption, so that we can see a growth in the development of agriculture which will benefit all the people of this country. It is possible, ladies and gentlemen, to see a positive outcome from agriculture. It is also possible to have increased productivity year after year as we use the drip irrigation systems. And we believe that this will enable everyone who is able, if you have a little square foot or square whatever it is in the back of your garden, you can become part of this new re-established interest on agriculture in NEVIS. Let me say that I wish to encourage all our people who engage in this important activity of agricultural involvement and who are making a contribution to the consumption of homegrown produce in our country, that this is a contribution to a healthier lifestyle, and it will enable us to reduce our dependence on external sources of food and vegetables. We pledge our support as a government as we ask our farmers and fishers and agro-processors, new, young, experienced and older persons, to take the opportunities which involvement in agriculture is offering. I want to thank you for listening to me. Enjoy the exhibition, and may God bless and prosper our efforts in this important industry. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Premier Emery, of course, for pledging your administration support to the continued development of the agriculture industry here on NEVIS. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at that point now where we will be honoring our patron. And just before we do that, permit me to read this profile about Mrs. David. Mrs. Sandra David has had a very simple start to her career in livestock farming some 30 years ago, when her husband bought her 3 animals, a sheep and 2 goats. She had traveled to NEVIS from England with her family to take up residence here. From these 3 animals, Mrs. David persevered and flourished into one of NEVIS's most enterprising and committed livestock farmers. She is very serious where farming is concerned, and it is safe to say that she is a businesswoman. Mrs. David has over the years received solid support from her family, in particular her husband Cedric and son Stuart, her 2 grandsons, and of course moral support from her daughter Becky. Cedric, who introduced her to livestock farming, travels to the farm with her whenever he's able to do so, and he's not in the best of health. When he was able to drive, he provided transportation to take her to the farm. Her son Stuart is now providing that service, which he does religiously every day. Mrs. David, unlike many other farmers in Nevis, whether crop or livestock, spends practically her entire day on the farm. She goes to the farm around 8 a.m. and remains there until between 4 and 6 p.m. This, of course, is not normal for any other farmer here in Nevis. Sandra is on the farm every day except on some Sundays. Her duties on the farm include providing water for her animals, most of which have to be drawn from a well, providing concentrate feed, deworming her livestock, and bottle feeding young lambs and kids when they are abandoned by their mother. Keeping livestock in Nevis is a major challenge, and for Sandra and her family it is no exception. One of the major challenges she has faced over the years is that of dog attacks. She has lost numerous animals by dogs, and she's hoping that this problem can be addressed in the near future. Another major problem she has faced is that of cradle larceny, and this to her is the most unfortunate and one that hurts the most. Unscrupulous individuals have on many occasions destroyed her fence, broken into her pen, and sold her animals, sometimes even the pregnant ones. Weather conditions like what we are currently experiencing have also been a major problem for Sandra, when grass is scarce and more money has to be spent on supplemental feed. Additionally, roaming donkeys often compete with her animals for the feed on the pasture, as well as the water that is provided to her sheep and goats. She is in love with her animals and knows each of them individually. According to her, keeping livestock is hard work, but her love for the outdoors and for the animals in general keep her going all these years. Our 2013 patron indicated that she would have received exceptional technical support from the staff at the livestock division, and for that she's grateful. She has also worked very well with the department over the years and has always been willing to take on board new ideas and suggestions. Several years ago, Mrs. David was part of a project where she established a forage bank to provide feed for her animals. Mrs. David said that she has thoroughly enjoyed her tenure in livestock farming and has absolutely no regrets. She indicated that despite the many challenges she would have faced over the past 30 years, if she had to live her life over again, she would still be a livestock farmer. Mrs. David, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate you for being selected as the Agriculture Open Day patron for this year. I think it is a very deserving honor, and you should bask in this moment. I would like on behalf of the Ministry and Department of Agriculture to wish you continued success in your farming enterprise. May you continue to provide the people of Nevis with high quality mutton, and may Jehovah continue to pour out his blessings on you. Ladies and gentlemen, our 2030 patron, Mrs. Sandra David. And now I would like to call Mrs. David and the Minister of Agriculture. The Minister will present the award to our patron, Mrs. David.
Mrs. David, on behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture and the Department of Agriculture, we proudly salute you as the patron for Open Day 2013 for your outstanding contribution to livestock farming and the livestock sector. So I present you this token of our appreciation. It is simple, but it says a lot. Based on your effort, we want to give you this award so that you can look at it as a token of your hard work and dedication to livestock farming in this country. Continue to do your best, and we all are proud of you. Thank you very much.